going on, three items, information, no decision.
And that's the.
So the events, which would get added to our zoning bylaw.
They just came up. Okay. 1 minute, folks,
Right.
for everybody that's tuning in live, early, anticipating, and it's time. So welcome, everybody to the June 9th, 2025 regular council meeting of the town of La Palm. I would just like to first off acknowledge that we're gathered tonight on Treaty 5 territory. It's traditional lands of the Opaskwayak Cree Nation, as well as many other indigenous people and the homeland of the Red River Métis people. With that, I will call the meeting to order. Somebody should have, just as a note, all council was in attendance tonight. That's nice. Somebody should have a resolution to adopt the agenda.
Moved by myself, moved by Councilor Allen. Prior to the vote on this, there's three items to be added for in-camera session. Mayor Murphy for information. Also, resolution 2025-106 should be split. There should be two resolutions. So I did ask for that. The second one here, there's two actions on there. It's not entirely wrong. It's not the proper way to do it. You're repealing a bylaw, and you're also having to move in the first one, both be first reading. So we're going to add resolution 2025-0113, which is the one that will be repealing the first bylaw on that. That's concerning the back.
Budget center, mistake.
Okay, so move by myself, second by Councilor Allen, resolve the agenda be adopted as amended.
Any comments, concerns?
Who has that bylaw then? You do?
Cool.
Well, you can have it. That's okay.
Okay, call the question, all in favor? Opposed, none carried. Confirmation of the minutes?
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Allen, resolve that the minutes of the regular council meetings of May 21, 2025 be hereby approved. All statutory declarations have been complied with.
Any comments or concerns regarding the minutes? Seeing none, call
I'm just gonna abstain because I was not at the meeting.
the question, all in favor? Carried. Recognition, anybody got any things we wanna share with the community? Councilor Hoffman?
Make note that the high school who went down for the provincials, they remain undefeated in the provincials simply because the provincials were canceled.
Yeah.
So I did tell the two granddaughters, I said they can truthfully say that they didn't get beat by anybody.
Yeah.
But they should have, to me, the organization that should have been canceled prior to them going down,
Mhm.
spent 2.5 days hotels and everything.
Yeah.
They knew what the weather was like and all the rest of it, but we did have a good representation to go down with as well. So.
Yeah, there was 1,600 athletes or something that canceled that provincial down there. I heard it on the news.
Oh, that's good about that too.
Anybody else get any recognition?
It's basically a recognition for the entire north, what's going on since the last meeting. I believe since that meeting, we've heard about what happened in there. But a few other communities have been evacuated. It's been really inspiring to see how everybody right around the province has rallied to help all the evacuated people, from hosting them to giving up hotel rooms to recreation opportunities. It's been really inspiring, and our community is included in that. It's also been really inspiring to see the firefighters who have come from near and far to go up there and help out. Obviously, our department included, but even from the States. So it's just been tremendous for what's gone on in our region.
Yeah, just to get, and I agree, I just sort of get a little, specific, I know Sam and Mike and Scott and Clayton, did a great job out at the airport and moved a lot of people over to a short period of time supporting, Opaskwayak Cree Nation, the Art of Kelsey, MCCN, Matthias Clone, cremation. I know, there was a lot of positive feedback. Sam's involvement was very, well received. I would also say, just for our staff as, Jomar and KSD there, just being on hot standby, with regards to using the facilities and being ready through the weekend. I know, from my understanding, we did host some firefighters in there, but I don't have the real details on that. And the last thing, I just wanted to take, a minute to just recognize the Arm of Kelsey and, the Pasco Cree Nation. They've done a lot of work. Diane Pally, the organizer was the main incident commander, and Lori Forbes for the Arm of Kelsey really have been working a ton of hours, a lot of stress, and we got to sort of witness it in motion, and I would say they did a great job, and like you said, the whole tri community. Anything else?
Tri Community Pride, their committee, they put on a fabulous event that was held at the Roy H on Saturday. Councillor Jeb needs a special shout out because he did the opening prayer. And after he finished his opening prayer, which was in Cree, he came in, he whispered to me saying, I also pray for some rain. And then it rained. So we need to thank Councillor Jeb along with the Tri Community Pride Committee for everything that they did on Saturday. Yeah.
Anybody else have anything? Oh. Okay, citizen period. We have a citizen here tonight in the audience, live and in person. So if you don't mind, just introduce yourself and.
My name is Grant Nemeth. I live at 22 Guymer Crescent. We've lived here since 2007. My reason for being here today is to start the discussion of closing the pathway that's beside my house, between my house and 26 Guymer Crescent. As the owners of 22 Guymer Crescent, we are more than fed up with the issues that have happened with a pathway that really goes nowhere. Many of our neighbors have the same concerns, and once the process moves forward, they'll be here to share those concerns. Both myself and the owners of 26 Guymer used to try and keep the graffiti cleaned off our fence that lines the pathway, and that has just become futile. Every section of both of our fences are tagged multiple times. We paint over it, they paint over it. We've even had where other members, other people have covered up somebody else's graffiti so that they can re-tag it again. We found large amounts of drug paraphernalia, garbage, stolen items left on this pathway for us to deal with. Quite frankly, we've had enough. Our neighbor has even found a loaded shotgun in his backyard that was dumped by somebody on the path. Given the extreme dry conditions this year, it's also alarming the number of cigarette butts that we're finding on the pathway. When I was going through the security camera footage, I found someone coming across our driveway that discarded the butt. You could see a glow with the infrared of the camera. Fortunately, it landed on the driveway. It didn't land on the grass. As mentioned, I have found numerous stolen items discarded on the path, in our bush, thrown into our yard from the path. Multiple bikes, bike parts, strollers, wagons, clothes, wallets, and just other miscellaneous goods on the bag of hockey pucks last summer. I personally put up a security camera to try and catch anybody that was tagging the fences. It was damaged in less than a week by an adult, not kids. It was a grown man. I replaced it. Now, I've seen things maybe I didn't want to know happened on that path. I don't think I really needed to know how many times it's used as a washroom by both kids and adults again. I believe we've been more than patient with the crap that happens on the path, and closing it is the best way to resolve these issues. We had a kitchen chair set on fire, thrown in our backyard by people on the path. Kids at Agner House twice came down that path. The intoxicated youth that threw rocks at our house came from that path. The people who've stolen multiple bikes on our crescent have come down that path. The man who tried to break into our house came in that path. Person who was stabbed and on my doorstep at 3 a.m. came down that path. The people that stabbed him came down that path. I need to replace my fence, but I have no incentive to do so. Why should I put up a blank canvas? I'll just keep patching it and hope that it falls over. At the end of the day, this is a path that goes nowhere. Goes from Guymer Crescent to the back lane. It's not a vital link to anywhere. So I look forward to your response. I know it's not going to be resolved today. I know it's not going to be resolved next month. I know the process that has to happen. Just wanted to get it started and on our.
I appreciate you coming in tonight, council.
Just, we lived on Traeger at one time, had the same issues, well, as dire as your experience. I, for one, would say whatever the process has to, how we start the process to close that walkway, I would be in favor of doing.
Anybody else have any questions or?
First off, Mr. Mayor, sorry you're going through that. I own property on Hammer down from where you're speaking of.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit aware of what's going on there and definitely like the process to play out and like keep my ears open, but right now I'm definitely leaning towards what Councillor Hopper is of the mindset as well.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
All I can say is I'm sorry this is happening to you.
Thank you.
I can't imagine, sorry,
I know there's issues all over town.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
there is, but still.
And it's, I mean, I won't say my perception, but you know, the path on the other end again, we're going towards Snackland, I believe sees, you know, the amount of traffic and incidents and everything else that we see with ours.
And as you mentioned, it at least has a purpose. It takes you in the direction of a main route or to the store.
Yeah.
Takes you over the bay.
Other than the lighting on the two houses, is there any lighting along that path at all?
No,
That is public lighting?
No, right, I haven't walked that path in ages.
no,
Okay,
I keep my front lights and side
Right.
lights and that on all the time just for, you know, helping with the cameras. I had thought about going to Hydro and getting paying for a light to be put on the pole at the one end of the path in the back lane. But I haven't. I will say that having the camera on the path has, I don't want to say shifted the problem, because it's known I'm not trying to hide the camera. So there are a number of people that now take the long way down the back lane and don't come by the path, so they're not on camera. So
thank you for that.
cameras do work sometimes.
Any other comments? Well, thank you very much. We heard, our CEO was taking some notes, so somebody will be getting.
Yeah, I emailed Bola already. I was hoping to try and get it on the agenda officially, so.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming in.
Okay, thank you.
See you. Okay, not seeing any more citizens. No, you have to stay for the rest of the night now. Grant. You have to stay for the rest of the night. Okay, so moving along here, zoning bylaw. Somebody should have something that.
Resolution number 2025-104, moved by myself, second by Councillor Hopper, resolved that bylaw number 4661 being a bylaw of the town of La Paz to amend town of La Paz zoning bylaw number 4599 be read a second time.
So we've been talking about this forever. Any comments, questions regarding the animated signs?
I do have one question. This is the information that wasn't available at the first meeting, like when I was saying, what are we actually voting on, other than the idea of moving a bylaw forward that we all agreed to? Now seeing the information, I feel there's an important aspect left out of it. Animated signs, I understand that there's a difference between the animated and digital. We currently have a digital sign, or sorry, an animated sign at the corner of Second and Fisher. that did not go through the process, therefore it is considered legal, therefore there's no grandfathering. That sign based on this bylaw would have to be removed without having the ability to address it. Because it's not a permitted zone. Commercial central is not part of this area, therefore that sign would have to be removed. Therefore, we have to be prepared to address that because it's not grandfathered.
Well, the master understanding that is for highway, right?
So our understanding is that those are not allowed in highways at all.
Yeah.
So that's why we've tailored it as such, so we are aware that the sign was not always like that in terms of display, so we'll be contacting the owner to
As long as we know we're not.
to rectify, unless he has something from highways saying it's okay. But our understanding as we went through the project, through the research, that those signs are not allowed on the highway route. So we'll confirm that with Manitoba Highways once he's got some sort of special permission.
And are we okay with not including commercial central? Because of course, the highway only applies to Fisher Avenue. So are we okay that if, say, for example, we do get some development on Edwards, that there'd be no animated signs allowed?
We thought it would be fair if the one street wasn't, that the other adjacent street wouldn't be, but again, it's a case by case basis, so people will apply. We'll bring the applications forward and we'll.
I personally don't understand why we have a problem with animated signs, period. So I think that, what I would just like to see is just to set them as needed, as requested, and put it in place. Like, I mean, this is happening everywhere. There's a number one highway runs through the city of Winnipeg. And there's animated signs, gigantic ones all over the place. And I don't know why we're trying to be so special with this, and I think as council manager, we need to make sure we're doing the right thing and not writing a bylaw that to create another restriction down the road so that we're in the same position, but can we just write this so that it accepts all animated signs, period, and be done with it?
So application by application, but certain zones, we were sort of mimicking what other places have done with it, so that's. I mean, we can always revisit it when more become available, so it is about case by case.
That's what I'm hoping to try to avoid, writing a good bylaw so we don't have to revisit it or see people every single time. I would actually like to just see commercial central included with the same provision saying that if it's on the highway, you need to that permission from the highways department. But I would like to see commercial central included because that's who wants to do most of the advertising.
So Sam, just for my clarity, so I understand what we've got written here, because I did read it and I don't know the zoning in depth as others do. What does this do today? So would the existing signs have to be replaced?
The existing current animated sign at the arena would need to be
That one there. yeah,
adhere
is the size.
to this. The size is larger than what we were going for.
And the other two that are located on Gordon Avenue or Fisher Avenue.
That one, in terms of size, is appropriate. However, the animation is not allowed along the highway from what we've understood. So unless he has special permission from Manitoba Highways, that would not be allowed there. I think this came up once, I think when McDonald's was trying to put an animated sign up on the corner there, and that was some time ago.
And their first sign actually wasn't even animated, it was just digital with the differentiation of it. It was just lettering and wording you could, now it's going to animated where they can project
So
pictures.
is the, now based on my understanding, is the highway that can decide?
That's our stuff we're not in control of. So based on what we're reading, Manitoba Highways, what we read said that that's not allowed along a provincial highway. So that it's sort of, we left spaces to add other permitted zones because we didn't know how the breadth of this, so.
Are you recommending that we move forward with this, so that it should fit us?
As currently as it is, yes.
Okay,
What about another one on top by the post office area? Isn't that also your being too close to a crosswalk, busy crosswalk as well as being on the highway?
Yeah, so the highway, that's a highway jurisdiction one, so there should be no animation on it at all. If it was just still imagery, it would fit it wouldn't fall under this category.
We have to follow highway.
Yeah.
Because there's some highway where they have, in Manitoba, they have that kind of, some.
So let's say he did have permission from Highways Department to have that sign. It still doesn't fit our bylaw because we don't allow it in the commercial central zone. So the sign has to come down no matter what, even with no permission.
I don't think we would make it take it down. I think we come back to the table too. Because again, everything we've read from highway suggests that that's not an appropriate path forward there.
So what Councillor Manish is saying is that we didn't include the commercial zone.
Yeah, I just feel if we're doing a bylaw and we're trying to encapsulate everything or the best of our ability. To me, where you want to advertise is in your commercial central area. Our arena is an exception because of the hockey team, but otherwise everything's in our busy district or what we hope to be our business district.
Well, we did leave room for it, but again, we're seeing even in other communities is that it's not permitted in those zones as well. So we mimic the city of Winnipeg, we mimic other places.
So it's done on a case by case basis.
Correct.
So with that said, does highways allow exemptions?
We haven't followed with them.
So we don't know if they allow exemptions.
Correct, because they have to apply to, there's an application process they go through on that end to get permission. So when he originally had the sign put up, he had shared with the previous person doing it, the permission letter from highways allowing the sign. But I don't believe at that point highways was aware that it was animation capabilities behind it.
Either way, our bylaw doesn't, sorry to interrupt. So either way, our bylaw doesn't impact those decisions anyways, because it's a highway decision.
It's a highway decision, but if I'm understanding Councillor Manners correctly, even if highways gives the okay, we're not under this.
Correct, because right now we're
Okay, so even if highways said it's okay, we still wouldn't allow it.
right, because everything in the literature of the highways department suggests that it's not okay. So we didn't even see a place for them I mean, if by some chance it was approved, we'd be surprised. But our understanding is it's not allowed, period. So
I guess where I'm confused is following on Mayor Murphy is these signs are seen everywhere, and I do believe that they are along provincial highways and highways in the city, so then that would imply that there is exemptions being made. So to me, I don't feel good voting on this until we know if those exemptions are being made.
I don't know so much, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Don't go ahead.
I don't know so much if it's exemptions or people that are just thwarting the bylaws of the city, especially in Winnipeg. We were reading some articles about some people sort of going like the city needs to follow up on their bylaw enforcement and whatnot. So there is a bit of a fight in the city about whether.
Sorry, would the city of Winnipeg pull up on that, or wouldn't highways pull up on that? You're saying it's a highway issue. So
Well, that's a good question.
Can I just make, so just summarize this, and if we can't get to it, we'll table it, but how this is today is that for the signs that we are saying that you're allowed to use animated signs in our community, right? Except for along the highways, we're saying that needs approval from somebody else. Now, if highways approved it, but our bylaw says they weren't allowed, they could still come and apply for variance, and we would then decide that.
We would have to adjust this in order to allow that to happen. But so right now we've kind of mimicked the other zoning bylaws that have animated signs. That's the areas that we selected were based on City of Winnipeg, the City of Brandon, and other large urban centers that do allow for it. This is a carbon copy of the zone that they allowed.
The thing I'm thinking right now, though, is how will this affect the business development in the towns in our community, especially since our kind of commercial district is situated so close to the highway? I'm thinking that with the bylaw as it is right now, it may prevent business owners from being able to advertise things and put up signs at all. So I'm thinking maybe we should change it so it's more of a case by case basis thing.
Well, and they do actually have that in here. Conditional is required for every sign, right? So there's nothing in this bylaw that actually permits the sign without it coming to council. I would much rather see a bylaw that people can fit the parameter that says, yes, I'm allowed a legal sign without having to come to us to speed up the process. That's what I'd like to see, that we can capture the essence of the purpose of the animated sign. And only when, like you say, the rink is having one that's larger in size, okay, there's an exception.
Yeah.
Or if it's next to the highway, there's an exception or a crosswalk.
Mhm.
Everything else, to me, we should be able to write a bylaw that says, hey, this guy can have a sign because it fits these parameters without having to come to us for every question. Otherwise, we might as well just keep it in the animate or in the digital sign bylaw as it currently is and just live it case by case basis. Nothing's really changing.
I want to say something at this point. We have to be very careful not to be allowing everybody to be having this kind of board everywhere. Like if there's a screen here, there's a screen here, there's a screen there. I think that is why the other municipality have to put that restriction. Because if the screen is here, screen is there, it's
Yeah.
cause distraction even for driving within the
But we
town.
still have those parameters that if it's on a highway, you need that special permission. But if you're on Edwards Avenue where some brightness and some activity would actually be very inviting to that neighborhood, I'd like to be able to see someone pull one up.
I still
Councillor
like
Hopper?
to, sorry, I still agree that it should be case by case and they should come to council, not to just open it to everyone.
Councillor Hopper?
Yeah, this is the second reading. You've done a lot of research. I was reading, you've done a lot of comparisons with communities. Portage Avenue going through the city is not considered a highway. It's a local street highway.
It's number one highway.
No, it's a highway.
From Broadway on is number
Speed
one highway.
limits on a highway are usually 100 kilometers.
So ours, what's the difference of that road then?
This is Gordon Avenue. Anyway,
Yeah, okay, so
just saying that you've done lots of research and lots of comparisons. Simple thing to do if we have to down the road is to add Commercial Central. That would, that's a simple amendment that can be done on after we pass it and come back to it. Doesn't change anything. I think dealing with them on a individual basis when they come, they're all different. We have that with other situations as well. So I would say we move along, pass it, and get the third reading on, and then bring it back. And we want to add Commercial Central, which would encompass the rest of the downtown area. Again, when they do that, they're still gonna have to come and the council and ask for permission to meet the requirements.
Okay, any further discussion on this? Seeing none, call the question, all in favor? 1, 2, 3. Opposed, or 4, sorry. All right, so Margaret, or sorry, Councillor Commodore, yes? 4 opposed. 3 carried. Okay. Closing a public lane resolution, so somebody should have, there's,
Third reading.
oh, sorry, so.
Resolution number 2025-105, moved by myself, second by Councillor Hopper. Resolved that bylaw number 4661 being a bylaw of the town of Paw to amend town of Paw zoning bylaw number 4599 be read a third time and be passed.
Okay, same discussion, don't see any further discussion, call the question, recorded vote, so. I'm in favor, Councillor Atkinson,
Aye.
Councillor Hopper,
Aye.
Councillor Forster,
No.
Councillor Commodore,
Aye.
Councillor Manage,
No.
Councillor Allen.
No.
Okay, sorry, now let's go back to the next one. Closing a public lane, and this is this the split?
Yeah.
They're just, or, excuse me, the second one, we do them both together, one rather than have that, it's not,
Yeah.
I think it's 2013 or something.
Yeah.
Do them both. Like separately, but.
Resolution number 2025-0113, moved by Councillor Hopper, second by Councillor Allen. Resolve the bylaw number 4648, the Paw closing the public lane bylaw be repealed due to error in the deposit number. And
Let's pass this one first, then we'll do that one next. Or, right,
We do this one.
okay.
And resolution number 2025-106, moved by myself, second by Councillor Allen. Resolve the bylaw number 4662, being a bylaw of the town of the Paw to close a public lane be read a first time.
Okay, so on the first one, again, just for people in our viewing line, this is
I think we have two resolutions on the floor, right? You asked, you were gonna do the one, you were correct, the two, so.
We didn't vote on the first one.
I know, that's what I was just gonna read the repeal one, I was gonna call a vote, then I was gonna do the next one,
Gotcha.
call a vote, you can't do them both at the same time. But
Sorry.
anyways, so just for the public viewing audience, this is really just a administrative issue. What had happened is the planning branch or a branch had made a number change. We've already approved this once, but there was a a number change for the legalities, in the legalities of the land transfer. They needed it changed, and the only way for us to do this was to actually re-go through the whole process again, so, that's why we're doing this. So with that said, to repeal this bylaw, all in favor? Against, none, carried. And now to get it back on the table, we have, the same bylaw just to get the first reading, so we could just change that documentation. So call a question, all in favor? Opposed, seeing that carried. Okay,
There was no legal cost to the town on that.
no, there's no cost, and we tried to, I know, our CAO tried to figure out a way of without having to do all this, but this is what they said we needed to do. Okay, moving on, school zone speeds.
Resolution number 2025-107, moved by myself, second by Counselor Allen, whereas section 98.1 of the Highway Traffic Act and the reduced speed school zones, regulation number 136/2013, authorize council to pass bylaws establishing the reduced maximum permitted speed for vehicles being driven on a highway within a school zone within the geographic boundaries of a municipality. Whereas Town of the Paw deems it advisable and in the best interest of the town to establish school zones with a reduced maximum speed for vehicles. Therefore be resolved that bylaw numbered 4663, being a bylaw of the Town of the Paw, establishing a speed limit of 30 kilometers per hour for vehicles in a reduced speed zone, in a reduced speed school zone in the Town of the Paw, be read the first time.
So this is just to adjust, to have our bylaws adjusted or set so that we reduce speeds around schools to 30 kilometers an hour during Monday to Friday, between 7 and 4:30 in the afternoon. This would include all the schools in the community.
Were those the decided times?
I believe that was on the.
8 to 6.
8 to 6.
8 to 6 was on the, we gave some additional options if you guys wanted to discuss any of those further. Also other communities have them year round sometimes.
And September through June as well.
Correct.
Issue sheet?
So 8 to 6?
8 to 6 is the current recommendation. It seems to be the most common that we notice.
And I'd almost save the other little placard on it and just have them year round. Cause most of the kids use the parks and that all the time. And it makes people more accustomed and grow habits rather than, oh geez, I forgot it's September 1st, right? It's just have it year round, I don't think would be a big problem. If it is a problem, then the only one I think could be adjusted would be Gordon Avenue. Where maybe that one could be if it was a traffic flow issue where, you know, that highway is kind of the least of the concern, but busiest during school time.
Yeah.
So that'd be the only one if someone was.
Yeah.
Save people having to be retrained.
Exactly.
One question.
Cranberry is, based off the school year.
Yes. Most places that are based on school years.
My comment, so Gordon Avenue, like, is that really a necessary slow zone based on there's really no children crossing the road at that point? The next playground, just a question.
Especially with the recent construction the last couple of years of the fence. Originally, when we were looking at this, there was no fence across our property. So there was some children that were sort of cutting through there. That's been, for the most part, reduced. So I agree that that's kind of a lesser one. We can always make amendments to this.
You know, I support this, I just wanna make sure that we're, you know, not just doing it because.
There's a lot of walking traffic when school gets out, like especially at 4 o'clock, like 3:45 to 4 o'clock, walking towards 7th Street. I'd almost like to see that sign right from 7th past, right, rather than being at that first block. And just because of all the traffic, yes, they're not really crossing until they're at 7th, which would be a safe location. But I don't know how many times I've seen kids pushing their buddy, you know, kind of in oncoming traffic, not intentionally, but messing around. So the reduced speed might help with that.
But it's the speed sign doesn't go down to the corner.
It would go until 150 meters past the property line of the schools, which brings us close to the beginning of Michael's car wash, probably in that ballpark.
Anyways, we can work those details out, I think, right? That's-
Yeah, we could, yeah, so we just need the first reading so that we can start the application process through Mountain Infrastructure. So if council wants an amendment to year round, if that's.
We can work through that.
I do concur with Councilor Ranch on that, just do it your own.
Okay, if any other questions on this right now, so seeing none, call the question, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Just one, I meant to ask, sorry, RCMP are all cool with this?
We've submitted to them for review, so they have time before our
Okay.
submission after first reading to.
Okay,
Any
perfect.
comments we'll bring back if there's any additional comments from the RCMP as well.
Okay, moving on, your arena cell booster resolution.
Resolution number 2025-018, moved by Councillor Manich, second by Councillor Commodore. Resolved that council approve the purchase and installation of 2 new cell boosters at the Roy H. Johnson Arena in the amount of $9,750.26 as part of the arena capital project.
I think we talked enough about this in our budget meeting, so I don't know if there's anything further.
Did we ever look at, Starlink?
Not in the arena for this, not for cells,
Right?
not for this for cell phones, but I like your thoughts about having free Wi-Fi in there.
But that blows a lot cheaper too.
Yeah,
I brought that forward. And there was even a free grant for it.
we never brought that to
Yes, I
council.
did. I said I'd rather see Wi-Fi rather than a cell booster, was it my
That was,
comment?
that free grant was not, well, anyways, that's what the resolution is here. I think we've approved this in our budget, so I'll call the question, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Yeah. Commercial front mower.
Resolution number 2025-0109, moved by Councillor Manich, second by Councillor Commodore. Resolved that council approve the purchase of a 2023 John Deere 1600 for the amount not to exceed $95,040.
So now, if you look at the, this is to help, keep our parks and all that sort of great. We had budgeted not enough money. I think there's about a $30,000 difference, but there's money in the reserve. So I believe this is a good purchase to move forward with. Any other questions? Seeing none, call the question, all in favor? Opposed? None, carried. Okay. Payrolls and accounts.
Resolution number 2025-110, moved by myself, second by Councilor Manich. Resolve that council authorize the following accounts. Pay period number 10 in the amount of $137,650.84. Pay period number 11 in the amount of $167,714.19. General check number 32536 to 32572 in the amount of $34,876.38. General checks number 32573 to 32613 in the amount of $83,559.66. EFTs in the amount of $461,406.55 and $844,285.57.
I signed it rather than rolling it.
Okay, so anybody has a chance to review any questions with regards to any of the checks? Seeing none, call the question, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. CDC resolution. Oh, sorry, AMM Northern District meeting.
I just cancel it because of the wildfire, and
Yeah.
so this resolution will not be needed.
Yeah, so we'll cancel that. I was gonna say
So
that.
we cancel the hotel as well.
The meeting was canceled, we just got an email just before the meeting.
June district meetings for AMM were canceled based on the fact that what's happening in the north. CDC board resolution.
We'll have it in the future.
Yeah. Oh.
Are they
Resolution number 2025-112, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Commodore, be resolved. Council appoint Councillor Hopper to sit on the CDC Board Committee as a member of council.
Pretty straightforward, all question, all in favor? Opposed?
Sorry.
Carried.
Motion signed.
Okay. Management reports or council reports, any other boards? We can go like cheat sheets. Museum board, Chamber of Commerce,
The lunch and learn was a pretty good turnout. They had 23 registered, 19 attended. So it's a good turnout for the lunch and learns. A lot of discussion about kind of redefining the vision statement and the intentions of the chamber. So hopefully come fall time, you'll see a lot of it implemented in a bigger presence of chamber funds.
CDC, there was a meeting next week or I'm not sure. I'll get to an invite next week, I believe. There's a lot of, I can share some stuff in camera if you like. The destination marketing,
Meeting is moved to the 18th.
see like,
We did have a meeting. We appointed Kay Waffen Martin onto the board. She replaced Daryl Bauer. The steering committee had 3 meetings in 2025. This is for the senior co-op housing, by the way. Committee executive was established, Roger Zawicki, Laura Aries, Patty Hayes, and they're leading the project in an advisory council capacity. Articles of incorporation are being prepared and they should be submitted shortly as well. And it's going to be called Northern Lights Senior Housing Co-op. The Action Children's Business Fair occurred and that was part of the trade show. There were 6 kids who had registered for actually participated and it was absolutely fabulous. We want to thank the sponsors for the Chamber of Commerce for the table, CJ 1240, that should say, for advertising, and 623 Business, they provided the t-shirts for us. And Childcare Cooperative, the initial Zoom session was held, and the first steering committee meeting was held April 16th for that as well. And then there's just a bunch of stats that we have in here. I won't read them all out and I'll just provide the minutes to Paul and they can go up on the, yeah. And AGM will be in July as usual.
recycling board,
Tour tomorrow at 10.
tour of 10, meeting was last week. We did have a meeting with enough people there, so.
Yeah.
Some more
Last
work.
week, it was just looking at organizing, doing a tour to see what the needs are at the recycling center, how things are done, so the board can have a better understanding. We're making decisions on that. So that's tomorrow at 10.
Library board,
It's meeting on Thursday?
KSD,
Nothing to report.
youth council.
Good news, Opasco School had a play. That was fun.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately though, as Councillor Hopper said earlier, our track team traveled to Winnipeg and the meet was canceled due to the fire conditions, smoke conditions. It wasn't healthy for people to be running around in that weather. And a lot of other things have also been canceled due to the smoke, like French Lake Day that was supposed to take place today. Postponed to Wednesday, but we're still not sure if it's happening at all.
Okay. Good. Any other reports from any council on anything else? I know I'm on the waterfowl advisory committee. Not sure how I got on that committee, but I am on it.
Perfect.
I attended a meeting last week. I know nothing about hunting waterfowl, so they're happy that I don't know anything about that, but I did bring up the concerns with hunting in northern Manitoba, impact on tourism, and those type of things. And there's this is a monthly meeting or quarterly meeting, so it was good. And I was gonna touch bases with you, Councillor Hopper, to get in touch with, Mr. Lord, I think it was. Lord, who was the,
Jim Ward?
yeah. To talk to him to see what that, if there was any change in the impact, because they are saying they're making some adjustments, so.
For next year.
Okay. Unfinished business, anything there that anybody needs to ask about? Oh, did I? Oh, sorry, yes. Monthly management reports, any comments, questions, concerns, outbursts?
There's a couple of questions I had, sorry. Had it up and then I went back. I think we are possibly on camera talking about one of these things, but something that was talked about at the last meeting was kind of disheartening seeing the ticket stats where the parts of this graph are still at zeros. So it's kind of telling council that nothing's happening, but we know things are. So again, it'd be nice to have a little more complete information, like if we have unsightly property letters going out, it'd be nice to know that some would be going out, right? So it'd just be nice to have the complete stats on that aspect. Good to see all the other stats, like they have the stats of the unwanted, of the calls and the EMS attendant. That's great to see all those things, but it would be nice to see some of the enforcement aspect. That's most of the conversations I did.
Yeah.
Last comment was simply, I know quite a while back, I think it was when we had an incident on our front steps. We talked about having reports come to council relating to safety issues or incidents that occur. And
I have that in camera too.
okay,
That's what I wanted to
do.
talk about.
Okay, so just hearing multiple incidents makes you concerned. So it's nice to know that, but they've all been dealt with, or they've all been addressed, or something a little further, because it makes me say, what's happened? Yeah, that's all. Again, a little more information saves questions.
Yeah. Any further questions, concerns with the management reports? Everybody's good? Outstanding issues, any comments, concerns? Seeing none. General business, correspondence, I did share the One North Board, report, for your information.
Also, money being poured in there.
Yes,
Very interesting.
it's a good news and we should be getting a quarterly report from now on. Okay, 12/1/2, Indigenous Peoples Day, so thanks to Bola for arranging that, appreciate you working with our neighbors there, the Friendship Center. Mayor's and RCMP reports, any comments, concerns? Still, always concerning to see all the vacancies, sitting at about 8. And if you read into that report, it sounds like they've been bringing in members from other communities to backfill, so that's obviously a cost. Okay, so there's no questions on that. Moving into citizen periods, there's no citizens here. So can move us into committee of the whole.
Resolved that we do now move ourselves into the committee of the whole with Mayor Murphy and the chair to discuss matters requiring our attention.
Top line reorder. I think we should just do this.
Yeah.
This is,
Just had a question.
Yeah.
What did they measure the first round with, the last 800 feet?
hey, don't ask the question, okay? Just, hey, shake your head and say yes. So we'll look for an issue.
Wasn't done by one of our surveyors.
Sam was on the
What side of the tape were you holding?
I'm only those who done
So, yeah, so we're good with that. So just bring an issue sheet to next meeting. Letter support for the grant funding, that we've already talked about and approved. I don't see any issues with just getting a letter prepared and signed off. Any concerns with that? That's good. I did put in, just for really, council's, thinking right now, and just to plant it in our seeds, we did say we were gonna have another, community hall meeting, mid-year, so. You know, I said July 23rd, it doesn't have to be July 23rd, like, you know, just think about it, let's next meeting. Talk about, a date that works, hopefully we can get all council there, I know. August is fine too, like I said, it's no rush, we wanna just do it right.
It kind of would be good to have coming out at the tax season, like tax bill is gonna be coming out for that August. So it'd be good to have an explanation, so when you open your bill, you're like, what?
Yeah, or even September,
Yeah,
September 1st or something, yeah,
Well, July 23rd to me works a good time because the tax bill is out at that time or close to that time.
Yeah.
So it kind of gets people either with the pitchforks or they're gonna come.
So
Please,
maybe,
please give explanation.
maybe we could ask is that if everybody could just send Bola a date or two. And then we'll just try to get, if anybody's really away or something, just, so your task is send Bola an email to say, I'm free this day, in July or August.
So tell you right now, I'm okay with what you proposed.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
I'm actually thinking one direction, I don't know, like, towards like October, I think by then most of our capital projects will have.
Yeah, you know, we promised mid-year,
Okay.
so we need to go mid-year. Yeah, so I don't wanna go too far past July, like I'm okay to sink into August early, but
We can do October, November for the special levy.
yeah, that's when we'll be doing it anyways.
If people are wondering about their taxes, if they look at their last year's tax bill, from the town's perspective, pretty well the same thing.
Yeah, so we'll plan for July, early August, so just let Bola know.
Yeah.
The next sheet that I put in there was a social media, so I was contacted by concerned individuals around social media and board, but not council, because we already fall under a social media, but boards of council that have representation and that should our social media policy also include them. And I don't know the legalities of anything, so I said I would bring it forward and just to put that information here today. And maybe Bola could sort of do some investigation work to see how it really works, like whether we have any authority over boards to include them in our social media policy. That would be the easiest thing, right? But, you know, I don't know.
Plan with other communities.
Yeah,
Ones that we fund, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I was thinking the easy one, like destination marketing would be falling underneath there. But, you know, I don't know, I wasn't sure about like the library, like I don't know if the library, like. I wasn't 100% sure, but their CDC would be for sure, museum.
You could strongly suggest it.
Yeah.
Either way, even if we don't have jurisdiction on them, I think you could strongly suggest, say, hey, just as a
Yeah.
guideline.
So, yeah, so we could get a little bit more information on that, and then the last, I know I put in a lot of, couple of issue sheets, this appreciation event, so Canada Day, we need to get some help, from. You know, people that are out there in TV land that want to, support the Canada Day events, so we met again today. And maybe we could tie into something more than just, maybe on the 30th, we can do an appreciation thing or something, some live music, like we've been talking about. So I'm working with Logan Morton right now and see if we can maybe arrange something to have some display of bands or something for that weekend. So if you got any ideas, please share them. And then we did budget, just so I'm clear, we did budget $5,000 for Canada Day, right?
Yes, but,
And then I know Jackson got 6,200 for the grant for Canada Day. Was that? No, that actually, good thing you brought that up, just a good reminder. So that question did come up as part of Canada Day, and the Canada Day committee is not recommending fireworks. So they did look at drones. They did look at drones for an option, but a 14-minute drone show, minimum cost for a drone show all drone shows are, I guess, around 14 minutes because it's battery size. And the minimum cost for a drone show is $25,000.
So,
And I got that rate
Will
from
be
the
available.
person, yeah. Oh, actually, they're looking, but I don't know if we can afford it this year, but maybe it's something to look forward to in the future.
When it comes to the fireworks, we're avoiding them because of the environmental risk.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, so that's all. I just want to plant those messages there. Okay, fire command units. Internet. So if you read through that issue sheet, there's a request for installing Starlink, or installing satellite, whatever it happens to be, and to be able to put in all of the units, the 2 units, plan units, to be able to access the internet all the time, even independent of where they're at. Any comments, questions?
I agree with that, actually.
I'm,
I really think you're good thing.
I'm familiar with, this kind of technology with Starlink, the only option. The reason I ask is we did pass, resolution about going Canadian where possible, so is the only option Starlink, or is there a Canadian option looking into it all?
No, we're gonna ask Bell to do this type of internet, but all of that runs off cell towers. So if you have no cell service, you don't have portable internet, and Starlink is the only one that goes off satellite.
Okay.
I'll say that I'm not really in favor of this, and not that I don't think that it'd be nice to have, but I think it's a nice to have, like, I don't believe the amount of time and the investment of spending, although it seems like not a lot of money, it's still $300 or $400 a month forever and a day. The install cost, the upfront cost is low, but I think there's other ways, when it comes to, you know, some of the things that were in there, like unable to read maps and stuff, you know, there's ways of getting around that. I mean, we did have incidents in the last little while, that we were able to get through it without any, major issues, and I think that we have a good understanding where our cell coverage gaps are, where, we need to do so. I think that this can be managed without these tools, but council decided they wanted to go forward. I would support it, but I'm not thinking this necessary.
Just a question for clarity on the finances, so it's, 1,440 for the equipment, and then $94 per month when it's in use, but when it's not, it's nothing. So it's just when we activate it. It's not every single month forever, it's just the month we're using it.
So if we activate it on the 2nd of the month, we pay $94 for that entire month
So you would only turn it on when there's an emergency?
when we need it.
So as it has instant activation, you could call in the middle of the night and you can turn it on?
And then you pay for the billing period.
So my question to echo Mayor Murphy, what does the radio operator do? Because we've kind of set up a command post, your radio room is set up with a 50-inch TV, that your radio operator would say, this is the weather, this is, I mean, it's part of your documentation when you're normally going to a call. So if all of that is available to you at all times, without having to distract yourself or whoever incident commander is from having to read a map or understand, go to meteorology school to understand, you have somebody in the radio room that can relay that information to you without any issues because of the FleetNet radios that we've spent a lot of money on. So you have contact with people that can read those maps and provide you in real time. It's not that you're going without. And realistically, it almost allows you to be more concentrated because it's being relayed to you rather than you having to read it and study it. That's why I would be against supporting this endeavor, because the access to information is available to you to be relayed.
Any other comments? So what I'll ask is bring a resolution forward to the next meeting, with this recommendation, and then council can decide at the next meeting whether we want to move forward with it or not.
Can Byron, can you provide, or Fire Chief, can you please provide an instance where this would have been needed in the last month?
If it's one, we could have used it. We were up there for a week and there's no cell service once you get into that Schist Creek, Sally Beach, North Star Road. So you're in the middle of a wildfire, you don't know what the winds are doing. Command post isn't always on the radio, they're busy in meetings, everything else. Our wildfire, 2 o'clock in the morning, we're trying to fight the fire, we don't know if the wind's gonna switch, when it's gonna switch. So being able to have real-time updates on those. Even motor vehicle collisions, you can get an app free of charge that will tell you where your shut off is on a electric vehicle, where the airbags are, where the batteries are. All of that information can be right at our fingertips. We do have tablets that we wanna install into the trucks, but they're only off Wi-Fi.
So once something is installed in a vehicle, can it be transferred from one vehicle to another? Like an example, if it's in York, but then Sam or Tanvir need to use that because they're going wherever they're going, is it transferable from vehicle to vehicle?
Councilor Homer?
Just a reminder, with respect, the fire department in town, the structural fire department, wildfires, it's not our mandate. The radios, I wouldn't support it. And I'll talk further in this when we're talking about the Palmer.
Okay, so anyways, there's no other comments. We'll bring an issue sheet for the next meeting anyways and get that right forward. The next one, that's fire service, wild response equipment. So I got a couple of comments and they might be off base, but how I think it is. So, oh,
It's bumper one.
oh, bumper one repairs report, sorry. I did actually didn't write in your notes with that one. Yeah, so what's the story with that bumper?
They were on scene of a structure fire.
Yeah, but no, we don't see that, we read that, but what about, can it get repaired or?
It's down in Winnipeg right now. Seahawk came out to Flint for because there's so many trucks out there. So they actually dropped a guy off here to take the truck back to Winnipeg.
Okay, good.
So it's getting diagnosed right now.
Okay. And so $30,000-$40,000 potential repair on this.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know until they
Yeah.
finish the diagnostic.
Oh, we gotta fix it, so.
That report was basically for information.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a shock when you guys got a 10, 20, 30, $40,000 bill.
How old is that? Oh,
It was replaced in 2018.
okay. Should last longer than that then.
Good questions.
Yeah.
I have the pumper went down on what date? May 31st. And was sent to Winnipeg when? Seahawk picked it up last week. Okay, something like that, in my opinion, should have been done immediately through the CAO. Did we have a pumper up in Flint Pond? Yeah. The one that was down? No. So we were down 2 trucks. Town was left without 2 pumpers. Yeah. But we had our. Like, I like the idea of volunteering our resources to other communities, which other companies and towns have done as well. But having one pumper down, pumper that's a minimum hour and a half, 2 hours away, not good. I would never have approved that, and it was my decision. I think as I said earlier, our town Paul Fire Department is a structural fire department. We help where we can when resources are available. Manpower going up there, fine, but equipment, if we're leaving our town underutilized, like we didn't have pumping capacity, 2 pumpers gone. After conversations with OCN, we did have pumping capacity. Well, we can't rely on mutual aid all the time either. I mean, it seems every fire we have mutual aid back and forth, which is good cooperation. But again, I wouldn't say it was irresponsible, but I'd say that should have been thought of a little harder. Go down one pumper, sending a pump loader down. Manpower, fine. Pumper go, I would think that wasn't wasn't the correct thing to do. And as soon as it went down, that should have been sent to Winnipeg. We spent, when the back truck there, when it went down, we were trying to get it fixed as quick as possible. Fire department, to me, that bumper is more important than the back truck. So I mean, something like that should have been done right away. And the cost, we're gonna bear the cost. Obviously, we have to have it. But without going further, when I heard that, I was wondering if that would actually happen. And to me, that shouldn't have happened.
I want to echo what Councillor Hopper said and add a little bit to it. I will go as far as saying it was irresponsible to send that truck when you did have another option. You could have sent the RRU with wildland equipment. Second, does NFPA standard allow you to do interior attack with only one truck on scene?
If you have a rig team, yes.
If you have one truck on scene, does NFPA allow you to do interior attack?
As long as you have 2 in, 2 out, yes.
Okay, I'm gonna disagree with you on that, but that's my concern, exactly what Councillor Hopper said, is we had other options to assist. I said, I will always support helping a neighboring community in need. But we were left with one truck in town to support what further information later on is gonna say, we can't rely on other people to help us. But that's exactly what you did in the situation, and that is irresponsible.
I'd like to ask that if we're gonna continue to call our staff irresponsible, we in camera.
Well, it was an irresponsible action.
And that can be discussed on camera.
And just for that, doing that with full respect, I mean.
Yes, it is. It's
a
not
lot going on, the work that you and the deputy have done and volunteers, the paid guys going out of town and fighting fires within our community, above and beyond what is expected of the department. That just this one incident, there's some opinions on it. So, and saying that with respect, so.
Yes, I mean no ill respect at all. It's a bad decision that was made that left our community unprotected.
Okay, so anyway, the decision was made, you heard. We're gonna get that fire truck fixed, so.
Or timeline on when they said it might get fixed or?
It's a day to drop the pump out, depending on parts, it could be 10 to 14 days of parts, depending on what they need. So we're looking at 3 to 4 weeks.
And just for our community members' sake, I mean, we still have a mutual aid agreement that we have a very good working relationship with the neighbors that live across the street. It's not like they're 60 kilometers away from us, that will continue to support each other, so. So just to move along this wildfire response equipment, and I just wanna, like, so what I was gonna say, so how I was thinking about this chief and deputy chief is that, you know, I agree, like, I would love to have all this stuff if I had an infinite amount of money and, you know, and those type of things. But then I started thinking about risk management and managing these things like an incident of like safety. And so when I think about wildfire and not being the actual threat to the community, I think about, well, how do I actually protect myself? And what we're doing is, and what we're suggesting here, and it is a good idea, but I don't think it's at the top of the priority list of where we should invest our money. And that's my opinion right now. And is that, because that's kind of like personal protective equipment. It's something's already happening and we're throwing things on, like wearing safety glasses and all that. And I look at it as, how can we actually reduce this incident from happening altogether? And that's typically impossible with anything. You can't eliminate risk completely, but you can reduce the likelihood of it happening by doing things. And so I think about, you know, let's say we're gonna use the $500,000. If I was gonna apply $500,000 to our community, could I reduce that risk even further without having to buy equipment to protect something when the threat's there? And so I think about, well, you know, the fire smart assessment programs and stuff like that, you know, what we do about that and doing an audit of our area. And then do we actually start looking at thinning trees, clearing brush, all that sort of stuff? And then would we build a fire break around our community? So we look at, you know, where the big threats are, which we've kind of done behind Trigger Is there another threat? And should we invest the money into that? And I think if we're, the way that the world is right now, and if we came forward with looking for money for doing something like that in our budget, I'd probably be supporting that, because I think it's taking it away from, hey, we got this threat coming at us, let's protect it, put the safety glasses on. Whereas I'm saying, I'm gonna move the threat further away from me, and I'm not gonna have to wear the safety glasses. But at the same time, I've also already had the discussions with the provincial people and others, is that value protection is not our role. We should have the equipment. We should have, it'd be nice to have it, but we should have some support from the federal or the provincial government if we're gonna have to purchase that. And if there's grants out there that can support those type of things, I would fully support that. You know, if we can get something and pay a little bit of money and have this trailer. But to come right out and say, I'm gonna need to do all this other stuff, I personally think I would be better, I would rather see us put some sort of preventative plans in place to reduce the likelihood of the consequence, or reduce that consequence from happening to us lower. So that's my feelings on it, but council can.
I agree, when it comes to the provincial
Okay.
government, that they need to step up when it comes to instances like this. I don't have a lot else to say on this, but I do want to personally thank the both of you and your team. What you have accomplished over the last how many weeks is unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. You've saved lives, you've saved homes, you've saved communities. And none of us will know anything that you have went through over the last while, and I thank you.
I concur with Councilor Atkinson. Just to touch on a couple of things. When we got the water tanker, that was for areas where we can't have adequate water supply. Most structures that we are responsible for, you're responsible for, do have road access. I've been around for a while. Some people say too long, but if you look back in the fire department records, we did have a vehicle, 4-wheel drive pumper, small mini pumper that was bought before grass fires, getting out in areas. The town didn't keep it very long. Clearance was low. Water capacity was 250 gallons, so the weight, it wasn't practical. And if you're thinking that 250 gallons is going to help you, to get out to somewhere where there's, say, a wildfire starting or bushfire further out of town, off-road, that's not going to get you there. If you're going to the road, well, then you take the tanker if you can. But the time you get there, 250 gallons of water down, if it's that far up, not really going to make much difference. That's where the problems will have to come in. And as I agree with the mayor, we need to protect our community. Years ago, when Snow Lake had their fires, they did fire guards around town, and they thought, 1,500 feet would be adequate. It's not. It's got to be a lot more than that. They're saying that you've seen it firsthand. Embers the size of your hand going a half a mile. So there's definitely, I think it's a wake-up call for all communities in Manitoba to be proactive and look at some of the other issues, get some federal money, provincial money to help protect various communities, whether it's the reserve of Puckawagon, for instance, or Easterville, Talbot, Flin Flon. Just within our community ourselves, like you mentioned behind Traeger there, all the bush behind you mentioned behind UCN, something gets going in there. This is in the middle of the day. We wouldn't even have time to evacuate the community, and you would be hard pressed with mutual aid to try and keep a handle on it if the winds are all of you know. So anyway, I don't think that type of apparatus didn't work before, unless they've improved somehow or other, or something I'm missing. I don't think it would work again. I can't remember how many years ago we had that, but it was on the department when we tried it, and I think we got it stuck twice, and thinking you can go anywhere, and you couldn't.
Councilor Manage?
You had mentioned in your report that we basically only have the tanker available for wildland operations, or your pump two could have. Is the RRU not set up for wildland purposes? It has a cap system on it, or did have it, is it still in play?
No,
Why is the cap system not being used?
because that CAF system weighed down the back end so much that it wasn't feasible with the suspension. And when we have to empty a toolbox to get one tool out, it wasn't practical for our application. So we put everything into the wildland trailer, and that is one of the first apparatus out with hoses and pumps.
So the cap system's not being used?
Not right now.
So the mini, we'll call it a mini pumper, but your wildland vehicle that you're proposing or asking for would carry, as Councillor Hopper said, maybe 250 gallons, but probably with the one that you'd shown is only probably 150 gallon tank. The cap system produces 1,250 gallons equivalent of for firefighting foam. So what you were saying in your report was saying, if we could have got someone right there right away quick, we could have done a lot more. You had that, but you chose to remove it from the truck. That to me doesn't make sense when you've got a $40,000 piece of equipment that would have headed off that fire by your own description. So that concerns me that we're not utilizing the equipment we do have while asking for more. Grants, like I said, are a big thing. Have we applied for any grants or done any searching on grants?
There are no grants available.
So if I told you one,
I believe there will be though.
there is one available right now that's opening right away as Mayor Murphy had talked about, the community wildfire prevention grant, which is all about exactly what we're talking about, mitigation, what could we do? And then you have one that we missed out last April where the federal government gave millions and millions of dollars to wildland firefighting in mitigation preparedness program. We didn't apply for it. So we keep coming to.
Well, we have an actual, just to have some defense here, like, we do have a grant writing people that are supposed to do that stuff for us. So
But we need to ask them.
yeah, but I think they're also supposed to be keeping an eye open for these type of things that could be applied here. So I don't know why they missed that grant, but
We haven't told them.
I guess what we're saying, just to summarize, because, you know, again, this is not a criticism of the department, the things that you guys do. It's just that I'm not sure for me, and I think I'm speaking for council, this is the right place to invest money right now. I do believe there's gonna be some grants coming down the road for this kind of stuff that can help. And if there's other ways, if there's an investment required to maybe, you know, maybe the idea of having the controlled burns in April and plowing breaks don't make any sense, then you have to tell us that.
Then can talk a little bit more about plowing of trees and whatnot.
Yeah, we got kind of told us to stop what we were doing behind, kind of our treasures.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cleanup we'd like to continue to do back there.
Yeah, and I think the reason why we got stopped, because the wildland fire guy talked to me, is that's how we were clearing it. But if you brought a fuller buncher in there and picked it and ground and chipped immediately, it wouldn't be a problem. What happened is that you drove a dozer in there and just knocked all the trees over and made a big pile of forest ready to catch on fire. Now, that was the issue, and because he talked to me as well. But I think there's a way of maybe there's probably companies out there that do that. And, you know, in our community right now, is you guys being the experts, like, where's the biggest threat?
Definitely behind UCN.
And Yeah.
south of town as well.
Yeah, so, you know, is that something where we include in, well, if there's grant money for it this year, but is that something we include in next year's budget and do it in the winter when most of this kind of work normally happens? Because the grounds are all frozen and equipment can get in, is that's when we would do something like that. So January rolls around, February rolls around, and we're making those fire breaks in our community. You know, I know I heard comments about we used to burn Halco Lake every year. You know, is that what we would do going forward? Does that make sense? I don't know.
It's been on our radar, but the winds haven't been in
Yeah.
our favor to do very many controlled burns.
It's risky doing all of Halcrow Lake as well. We do smaller areas around Halcrow, but to do an addition
Mhm.
operation on Halco carries a lot of risk, especially with being grass fires. It could, a wind shift and it could just go a completely different direction, and then you have a huge liability issue on us.
And I think you guys did the river and stuff, man. Yeah. So, yes, any other questions or concerns or comments right now? And hopefully, you know, like I said, I do believe that there's going to be some attention brought to this by both the federal and the provincial governments where access to funds would be good. But if we can maybe bring forward some prevention stuff to reduce our risk on to the community and where the threats are, maybe we should maybe do some investment there as well. That makes sense? No? Anything else? Okay,
One thing, not sure.
yeah, sure, you can.
If controlled burns, like, I know they can be very risky and like you said, a liability issue, but just thinking about it, there are trees being cut down either way. Would there be a way to kind of try convincing developers to cut down trees in those specific risk areas?
It's more the grass that's
The
the
grass,
issue. The
okay.
trees are a big issue. We don't burn down forests.
Yeah.
We don't take down trees from prescribed burns, but what can be done for prescribed burns, Parks Canada is usually pretty good at it. If you go through Riding Mountain, you see all these big piles as you drive through.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is they're thinning out
Yeah.
the trees, and then they're getting rid of all the ladder fuels. So about maybe 8 feet up, and just trim all the branches down.
Yeah, that's
And
what,
then they pile that up and they burn it. It'll take years and years to do. It's a lot of work.
But,
Something that can be done, but it's a tremendous amount of work to do.
But you have a good point too, though, is that, you know, development wise, if we have an area that we're getting ready to develop, one of the ways, or if it's our next development area, one of the things we could do is just go clear cut that and have it ready to, you know, take out the fuel right now, right? And so it's gonna have to be done sooner or later, so if behind UCN is an area that's on the development path through the community, then maybe that investment is that let's just go and take all the trees down in the winter and be done with that. And then you can finish up all the stumping and all that stuff later, right? So, and you have a paper mill in town that has woodlands departments that could probably supply some labor, or would not maybe supply the labor, but supply the resourcing. They get the equipment to who to contact. Okay, thanks for that, guys. I don't think we have anything else, other than some in-camera, stuff. So, with that, just for our community members, we have no actions coming out of in-camera. As, this is just, to discuss some financial, issues.
Resolved that we do now move for substance to the in-camera portion of committee of the whole with Mayor Murphy and the chair to discuss matters requiring our. And